This video will explain the process of developing a grade plan for the skirt style SK01. So to start off, we have the pattern pieces traced out, nothing else, just the pattern pieces, front, the back, and the waistband. The next thing we need to do is indicate where our X and Y axis are going to be placed. So remember, the X axis is the horizontal one. It gets placed along the centre front and the centre back and along one edge of the waistband. The Y axis are the vertical axes, so going up through the hip line, front and back, and we'll put one through the centre of the waistband, same as we did for the basic skirt. So we've got these X and Y axes marked in. Once we've got those, we need to indicate where our grading is going to be placed. So we'll zoom in on each piece here and we'll have a look at the front skirt first. So with the front skirt, we're going to have a total between the centre front and the side seam of 12.5 millimetres. And because we've got a couple of darts here, we need to make sure that the style design isn't compromised, that the grading will make it still appear to be the same aesthetic look when we've got a size 8 or when we've got a size 16. So we need to distribute our growth so that it doesn't change the proportions of these darts. We also need to think about our skirt split here. So if we've got a skirt style that's going from a size 8 to, say, a size 16, we'd need to think about the length of the skirt. So overall, this is 40 centimetres. Our knee is around about 60 centimetres. So that means that this skirt is actually sitting above the knee level. Now, if you consider a size 16 person, probably it's not worth making the skirt split longer. I don't think that a size 16 person would necessarily want a higher split. This length would probably be fine for them. Size 8, maybe they would like it a little bit longer, but at this stage, that's not what we would do. We would actually be decreasing, if anything, the length of the split. So I think, again, this is probably a good length for a size 8. So that gives me the choice of either increasing the length from hip to this point where the split starts, or from hip to hem. I've justified that I don't think it's worth increasing or decreasing the length of the split. So that indicates that I should put the growth somewhere around here between the hip and the split start. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll indicate where my incremental growth lines are. I've got 3 through this area here, which is between the centre front and the first dart. I've got another 3 between the 2 darts. I've got 6.5 between the dart and the side seam, 6 in the length above the hip, 3 in the length below the hip, but not changing the length of this split. So if we add our amounts in, they're the amounts that we'll get. Now, if I'm going to do that to the front, I need to think about how I'm going to deal with the back. And again, on the back, I've only got 1 dart, so I would put 1 value here and another value here. When you think about it, I have for the front between here and here, 2 lots of 3. So I'll make it instead 1 lot of 6 through here and the other 6.5 through there. So again, if I put my lines in to indicate where I'm going to grow, that's my growth in incremental lines, and the amounts would need to match what I've done for the front on the side seam. So the length is the same, front and back, and then on the back between the centre back and the side seam, I've grown a total of 6 plus 6.5 gives me 12.5 millimetres, and I have the same on the front. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 6.5 is 12.5 millimetres. So for half the garment, that's 2 times 12.5. For a full garment, it would be 4 times 12.5, and that adds up to 5 centimetres or 50 millimetres, which is what we need to grow between each size in the distance around the body. So if I have a 5 centimetre or 50 millimetre growth at the front, around the body, and that's divided up between the panels, that would mean that my waistband also needs to grow a total of 50 millimetres. So 25 millimetres on one end, 25 on the other end. This little section here where my button extension is remains the same for all sizes. So it's just between the centre front and this part, centre front, and this part that I'm growing. Okay, so that's all my growth amounts and my incremental amounts, growth positions and amounts. Now I'm just going to have a look at what the coordinates would be. So my grade points are here, where I've put all of those little orange crosses, and on the back it will be similar sorts of positions, and on the waistband you can see it's either end, and here at the centre front is where my X and Y are intersecting. So again, we just zoom out and we'll have a look just at the front, and we can see that on the front our coordinates are between here and the waist, a growth of 6 millimetres in the negative direction. Our coordinates then become -6, which is the X coordinate, 0, which is the Y. To get from 0 up here and then to the next dart, we have a growth of -6 and 3, and that's for all of these dart positions here. Whoops. And then if we look at the next area, we've got our second dart, we've got 3 plus 3, so we've already moved up -6 in the length. 3 plus 3 gives us 6 in the Y. Up here on this corner, we've got -6 in the length between the hip and the waist, and the width is 12.5 in the Y. By the time we get around to our hip notch, that's 0, 12.5. The top part of our split, 3 and 12.5. So we've moved down 3. We're still maintaining 12.5 in width. Our corner will be the same coordinates. So all of this section here remains the same. And when we get to our centre front, it's 3 and 0. If we look at our back, we have a similar situation. -6, 0 here. Our first dart, -6 and 6, which is based on this line and this line. -6 direction for the waist growth and the waist circumference. And then between the dart and the side seam, there's another 6.5. You can just see that here, 6.5 on this line. So that gives us a total of 6 plus 6.5, 12.5 here. So -6 in the X, 12.5 in the Y, and so forth around, and the rest of it's pretty much the same as the front skirt. For our for our waistband, got a little error there. That should be -2.5, and at the other end it is 2.5 or 25 millimeters. So -25 here from 0, +25 here from 0. So that's how we would plan our grade and create our grade plan before we go ahead and do any grading. Once we've done this, we would have it on the table beside us so that we can refer to it when we're doing the grading.